Is there an equivalence between the indictment of Gautam Adani and Sagar Adani by a US federal court and the charges of the Congress's first family being linked to George Soros? The BJP is trying to make it seem as if there is an equivalence. The Congress says this is laughable. Joining us on this broadcast, I want to welcome Siddharth Yadav, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Hamid Hussain is a spokesperson for the Congress. I have Rajat Sethi and I have Sanjay Jha. Welcome to all our guests. Siddharth Yadav, I'll start with you. You've got a US federal court indictment against Gautam Adani, which Rahul Gandhi is trying to take up on the floor of the House. In the midst of all of this, you've now brought these media part allegations, using them to suggest that George Soros somehow funds OCCRP, the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. But the first question is, what is the linkage? Where is the linkage between an indictment in a US court and these charges leveled in an article published by an investigative site called Mediapart and what's going on in Parliament? Is BJP just trying to confuse the issue that they throw one stone, you're finding something to throw back?
Rahul, I don't think so. I think the issue that we have raised on multiple occasions at multiple times is very important and is very concerning. It requires the attention of the country. It requires serious consideration of all political parties.
I'm asking you, what's the linkage? No, what's the linkage? Just come straight. No, just come straight to the question I'm asking.
Yes, I'm coming very straight to the question. Now, and just give me 30 seconds so that I can explain you what is the linkage. Now, on multiple occasions, we have depicted that whenever the parliament session of the Indian Parliament is about to begin, something from a foreign soil is initiated. Something is there which the Congress party uses to take the parliament a hostage. Now the OCCRP, which has published a report, the case that is going on a foreign soil in a foreign country, on one of the leading firms of our country. Before that, a Hindenburg report also came out. How is it that one person, George Soros and his Open Society Foundation, is the main funder for all such organizations?
No, but what does that have to do with an indictment in a US court? What does that have to do with an indictment in a US court?
No, but Rahul, what has to be understood is the indictment in a US court, you find, if you want to keep it, that it's a separate issue and Rahul Gandhi now, takes it up, and Rahul Gandhi is most concerned about what is happening on a foreign soil, wherein the charge sheet it is written that they are innocent until proven guilty, and for that he wishes that the Indian Parliament has to be kept hostage. That is a different case. But what I'm trying to, what is more important for the viewers to understand is, how is it that George Soros funded organizations are always taking up the issues, and the closeness of George Soros and the Congress party's first family? Now, Congress party's first family has been linked to George Soros since 1992, from long back. Rahul Gandhi always takes up issues which George Soros thinks are important. Now,
George Soros is now in his mid-90s. I met him in Davos a couple of years ago. He's in a bad way. His health is not, to make it seem as if this is some monster who's out to destabilize Indian democracy. Aren't you giving him too much credit, even if that is his aim? Here's a man who's now quite old and unwell and barely able to string a straight sentence. And I say this because I actually met him.
No, Rahul, I would not think that, his health and his ailing, he is aging and all of that.
No, because you make it seem as if he's the devil and the Satan and he's disrupting Parliament in this devious conspiracy. I'm saying the guy is really old and quite unwell.
No. Rahul, but George Soros also has a history. And if you wish to delve into that, is he not very famous of destabilizing countries,
But have you seen a Mediapart statement? There's a statement put out by Mediapart, which is the organization whose investigation you are relying on. They say Mediapart firmly condemns the instrumentalization of its recently published investigative article about OCCRP by the BJP in order to serve BJP's political agenda and attack press freedom. BJP wrongly exploited Mediapart's article in order to spread fake news that we never published. There were no facts available supporting the conspiracy promoted by the BJP. This is from Mediapart's publisher. They're debunking what you're saying, and this is what you're relying on.
No, Rahul, we are not relying just on that. And just give me 30 seconds and I'll answer all your questions.
No, respond directly to my question. Respond directly to my question. The BJP press conference was based on an investigation by Mediapart. Mediapart is denying. So I never said George Soros is innocent. He's far from innocent. He's far from innocent. That's not the point I'm making. So don't disturb what I'm saying. I'm asking you a direct question, Siddharth. Respond to it. I don't answer 3 questions. Respond to just one.
I'm answering to all
No. I haven't asked you 3 questions. I've asked you one question. I haven't asked you 3 questions. I've asked you one question. I want you to respond to it. Mediapart.
Okay, so I think I'll have to let go on the part that Rahul Kanwal thinks that George Soros is ailing and he's not keeping very good health.
We'll come to that later. Just listen to my question.
One person who has a history of destabilizing countries.
I'm not saying that, Siddharth. I'm asking you a direct question. You're filibustering. Why don't you instead try and respond to my question?
No, I'm not.
The investigative.
Yes,
because the investigative body whose report you're relying on has come out and accused the BJP of spreading fake news, saying you're making up stuff which they never said in their report, and that this is to serve your political agenda and attack press freedom. Respond to this point.
Now, Rahul, give me 30 seconds. Number one, the data, the reports that we have relied upon were published by the media houses. Everything that we have quoted in public domain, we have substantiated that with enough evidence of different various media reports. Now, can this be? And this is number one. So if now, one media house comes up and says the certain political interests are being fulfilled and whatever compulsions they have to say that, I would not want to dwell into that.
This is the organization whose investigation you are relying on. You are saying, ye dekho media part, ye dekho media part.
Yes.
They're saying, nahi bhai, humne to bola hi nahi jo aap bol rahe ho. That's the point.
नहीं राहुल, तो ये तो आप चेक करिए कि उन्होंने बोला कि नहीं बोला. आप बता दीजिए कि उन्होंने नहीं बोला क्या. हमने जो बात बोली, हमने तो उनको रिलाई करते हुए बोला. आज वो जो बोल रहे हैं, you are more concerned about that, but they have published reports about claiming the same. You are not concerned about that.
None of which is linked to the indictment in a US court, which is in a federal court of the United States, is not linked to that.
No, Rahul, what you must understand is, and today also we have done a press conference, and I think, the time of your viewers should also be used for that.
Why don't you answer my question? Siddharth Bhai, you're not answering. You've come with some talking points. You're coming back to this. I'm asking you a straight question. You're not answering that. I'm saying here is a situation where the investigative...
No, you ask your question, I'll answer that only.
Let me put this question to Rajat Sethi instead, because I'm not getting much of an answer from Siddharth. Rajat, here is a situation where the BJP relies on a French investigative news body to level some charges against the Congress party and against the Gandhi family. You now have a situation where that same media organization has come and accused the BJP of spreading fake news, saying you're saying stuff which we never said in our reports. You're on mute, Rajat.
Yeah, sorry. First of all, Rahul, I'm not a spokesperson of the BJP, and BJP has able spokespersons who can do that job. What I will sort of do for you is to decipher what happened earlier. Where did the BJP draw its inputs from? The core of the story that Mediapart carried was the funding of OCCRP. They said that no not-for-profit agency or organization should have disproportionate, in this case, 50% of funding from one source, which was the US State Department. Now, that is the cause of concern. I run a think tank. It's a not-for-profit. Any organization which gives me more than 20% of my annual budget is not seen as an arm's length according to the established norms.
No, but what does that have to do with what's happening in a federal court in the United States?
So this is what I'm coming to. Here, there was a disproportionate influence of the U.S. State Department. Perhaps we are free to draw those conclusions. Perhaps to peddle some kind of a narrative around what the Department of Justice is doing, XYZ. So maybe there are those connections which perhaps the BJP.
But isn't that too much? Maybe, could be, should be, maybe.
No, this is the conflict of interest. Clearly, in all conflict of interest, there is a may. You cannot, in this case also, there is no direct accusation wherein you can remove the accusatory part and say that today Adani has been indicted and tomorrow arrest him and put him in the jail.
No one is saying that. No, 1 second. I'm trying to understand that the government is trying to draw an equivalence.
It's not the paragon of justice.
Of course not. No one is saying that.
Far too much of reliance on Department of Justice, assuming that it is not political, it doesn't have political interest. It also has political interest because it follows a spoiled system.
There is
They
no
don't have career bureaucrats sitting in there.
There is no dispute about that. Rajat, let's just try and understand. Let's just try and understand the nub of the issue. There is a matter that Rahul Gandhi and the Congress are trying to raise, which is the matter of a US court indictment. Then there is this investigation carried out by Mediapart, which Mediapart says is being distorted in a way that they never claimed, which says that one NGO called OCCRP received funding from different places, including George Soros, including the State Department, which has nothing to do with what the opposition is trying to say in Parliament. The BJP is trying to make it seem as if this is one apple, this is another apple. The point is, this is one apple and that's a watermelon. I mean, they're not apples and apples.
This is a gross simplification of what the BJP. According to me, what the BJP is trying to say is do not connive with state or non-state actors out of the country to destabilize democracy and democratic institutions, including the elections domestically. That's point number one. And the second thing, which I am adding here, the lesson for the Congress is trust Indian institutions more than the American institutions. Do not have your locus outside the country. Follow the procedures, because these are the same institutions you have been appointing the top people in for 60, 70 years in our democracy. To have the trust.
But what about the fact, you haven't responded to that Mediapart has put out a statement saying the manner in which, because it's based on their investigation. It's based on their investigation. They're saying, "Bhai, humne ye sab bola hi nahi jo aap bol rahe ho, humne bola."
Fair enough. This is what I'm saying. OCCRP has been tweeting certain things, peddling an agenda which has two sponsors, State Department and Soros. Now, BJP is fair to conclude anything. They are fair to conclude that since they are taking money disproportionately from two sources, everything motives can be attributed to these two organizations.
Okay.
This is the limited point.
Sanjay Jha, here's the thing. Sponsors have motives. I mean, there's no denying that. Now, if George Soros and the US State Department are funding these bodies, it's relevant for, and these bodies are putting out supposed investigations which end up stalling Parliament. The BJP is right to ask about the motivations of the US State Department and George Soros. They may be taking it to an extreme, but asking the question about the motivations of these two bodies is not an irrelevant question, Sanjay Jha.
Rahul, good evening. A couple of points. I think this is a very serious debate, and I'll tell you, as a citizen of this country, I'm extremely disturbed because I'm seeing that on a very well-respected TV channel, how the right wing, the BJP and its supporters are spreading a very dangerous conspiracy theory to save Mr. Adani at the cost of India's reputation and diplomatic relations. You know, Rahul, you are a veteran and you and I have been on television for a long time. Can you imagine that the BJP as a political party puts India's stakes with the United States of America, built over decades, into question by linking it to Adani being questioned in the United States with destabilizing India? I have never heard anything more bizarre and outrageous, and I will debunk these guys very quickly in bullet points. Number one, this is got to do with the Department of Justice that runs independent. The FBI, by the way, they don't even care for the President of the United States. Get real about it. Hunter Biden got investigated while Mr. Joe Biden was a president. And Biden has got egg on the face for pardoning Hunter Biden. Who are you trying to fool? I would just got to tell
No, but there's a point there. There's a point that Rajat makes, that you're making it seem as if this US federal court indictment is the gospel truth. Look at the manner in which the president acquitted his son of all crimes, gave him a pardon. So their system is messed up as well, and the Congress is going out on a limb, believing everything that's been said in the US federal court.
But you know, that's exactly the point I made, right? They have to be transparent about what they do. The President of the United States is humbled, humiliated. By the way, Rahul, I've been traveling in the United States. Democrats have got egg on their face. You can't just kind of do this opaque cover up for your friend. And here is my question to
No, but
both
they've just done it. No, one second. They've done it. He's pardoned his son. Egg on the face means what? So I'm saying you're relying on the US federal court indictment as the gospel truth. It is far from the gospel. It's a friends and family. I want to let my son go, acquit him. Some other friends may get into trouble with Donald Trump. I want to acquit them too. He's done it.
But Rahul, here is the question. That's the point I'm raising. Why doesn't the BJP government under Mr. Modi say that we have a support of Mr. Adani? We love Mr. Adani. We are not going to investigate him. Can you imagine the allegations are of bribery across India, including the central government of India. And over the last couple of weeks, there is no investigation. There is no investigation by a government that is arresting opposition leaders left, right, and centered for the minutest of allegations.
Okay, Siddharth Yadav, respond to Sanjay Jha. The fact that there are now, whether those charges are true or not true, whether the indictment is warranted or unwarranted, is impossible for us to tell. The point that Sanjay Jha makes is, should there not be an investigation? Should the government not stand up on the floor of the House and tell the citizens of India who deserve to know, what do you intend to do with these charges? Are you trying to brush them under the carpet and make it seem as if nothing happened? Siddharth Yadav.
Rahul, please give me uninterrupted 1 minute and I'll answer this question. Point number one, in past also in our country, we have seen a lot of scams have come over. We have seen, governments, and especially the UPA regime, where so many scams came over. How were they unfolded? How did the people of this country get to know about them? People of this country went to the institutions of this country. The institutions of this country initiated the investigations. Investigations were
But is it not incumbent on the government to order a probe? Why are you depending on the Supreme Court or someone else to order a probe? Should the government not order its own probe?
I'm not defending anything. Rahul, I requested for 1 minute. 60 seconds I requested. At least you can give me that courtesy. After that, you ask me any questions that you want. Now, what the point that I'm trying to make is, earlier we have seen a lot of such cases to come up. And we have seen a lot of these things to come up. Now, Sanjay Jha, you or anybody on the panel, please answer me, if some case comes up in a foreign court, if where charge sheet is filed and some allegations are there on an Indian firm, under what law in this country should that matter be investigated or taken to the court? Under what provision? Give me a section, give me a constitution article, give me that. But we are, we have a hungry opposition which has no support from the country's people. Who has no support at the ground, which is just waiting for some foreign organizations to come up with some reports just before the parliament sessions have to begin, and then they'll come out with placards and do circus outside the parliament. What are they doing outside?
Let Hamid Hussain respond to that. That just because there is an indictment in a US federal court, the BJP spokesperson says it's not incumbent on the government to order a probe. Somebody in a US court can say anything. It doesn't mean our investigative agencies have to probe that. Let Hamid Hussain respond.
Yeah, absolutely, Rahul. Let me first wish you in advance your happy birthday. God bless you, and may there be many more feathers in your cap. 14 December is your birthday. Let me wish that. Secondly, I have coming to your direct questions. Suppose why the court, federal court, or the Department of Justice has indicted Adani. Adani has been indicted that because 2,000 crores rupees were managed from US sources and they were funded to different state officers to bribe them 2,000 crores. The very fact that there is an allegation to bribe the different state government officials, that itself is good enough to take so much action on their part. Where the Supreme Court takes and government takes, if the government doesn't achieve, whenever the question of Adani comes, I don't know why the government machinery, whole BJP starts defending him. No, what Soros said? Soros said that Modi and Adani are close allies, and Modi and close allies, they depend on each other for survival. And Modi is behaving in a dictator way. Adani has been doing fraudulent, stock action, other things. Very clearly, and this US thing is very clear. Not only US court has...
Siddharth Yadav, is the BJP potentially making the same mistake that Rajiv Gandhi made when the Bofors charge was first levelled? He tried to browbeat the opposition, not order a probe. It kept building and building and becoming bigger. Is the BJP potentially making the same mistake?
Rahul,
if you've done nothing wrong, order a probe, let the investigative agency come out with its report. Siddharth.
Rahul, I would be amazed if you would draw a comparison between Bofors
I'm asking you a
and
question.
Something that is happening with Adani.
It's a charge. The question is, should there not be a probe?
If that happens. I am saying, who's stopping the opposition to go to the Supreme Court and ask for an investigation? Why don't they go? What is the base of that investigation? I am asking one law in this country, the law of this land, where this thing can be initiated. It's a taxpayer, it's a corporate house of our country. I do not care about defending Adani on this country, but I'll tell you my concern. Rahul, and my concern is more about that one NGO which is funded by Soros, the tallest leader of Congress party, the pseudo prime minister once of this country, Sonia Gandhi, is a co-president of that, and they pass a resolution of free Kashmir. I should be more concerned about that. I'm concerned that OCCRP, one organization, Hindenburg, one organization, and all such reports that make our parliament go to a hostage are all funded by one man, George Soros. Why don't the Congress party come out and answer that? They should come out and answer that. If they have any concerns about anything, any case,
let me put that same question
all the
to
states that are mentioned in that case,
Rajat Sethi and see what his answer to that question is. Rajat, there are charges that have been leveled. In the 80s, the mistake that Rajiv Gandhi made was he never ordered for a probe. Is the BJP potentially making the same mistake? Instead of ordering a probe and letting things emerge as they would in an investigation, by trying to make it seem that there is no reason for an investigation, is the BJP running the same risk? That's at least what Rahul Gandhi is hoping for, that he can keep building this issue, making it bigger in the hope that he can make it stick. That's his game.
You know, we saw the circus today outside the parliament, and I think I agree with you that it is his part of his strategy. For right or for wrong, that is his strategy. He has chosen this path and going to the hilt on this. He tried attempting it in Maharashtra. It did not work. He still hopes that this is going to eventually work. Now, the problem here is the following. In that US indictment, if we were to actually consider that as gospel truth, it remains that two of the state governments which have been highlighted is Tamil Nadu, which is still the member of India Alliance, and they have rubbished Rahul Gandhi's accusation on that outrightly. DMK party has tweeted it and have directly said that please do not drag us into this. The second is Bhupesh Baghel, who has been the former Chief Minister of Congress Party. So the problem here is that Congress will not be able to put up a serious, genuine fight on this issue because they have their entire hands in the cookie jar themselves. At least this is the perception which is going in. The second thing is that if you have an iota of evidence, you are free to carry it to the courts, and you should keep the locus within the boundaries of our country. Do not assume that you will
Sanjay, both Rajat and Siddharth make the same point. Why can't the opposition go to the courts and allow the courts to order a probe?
Rahul, let me tell you, the BJP is actually publicly confessing to the people of India that they are guilty. Can you imagine a government of a country? The Prime Minister's linkage with a prominent businessman is known all over the world, no matter what these two gentlemen may try and do. An indictment coming from the US court, and the government of India says we will do nothing, go to the Supreme Court of India. That is basically an implied confession that we are guilty and we want to cover it up. We'll use institutions to delay the process of the truth being known to the people of India. And I want to make a comment on George Soros in particular, because I'm a student of political history. Rahul, you are aware that the right-wing political disinformation system, starting from Mr. Putin in Russia, works relentlessly to run down anybody, including George Soros in particular, because they are seen as threats to the right-wing system. Donald Trump in particular and the Republicans went against him because they thought he was actually exposing him during the US elections. And here is the point. This is a government that went after 22-year-old Disha Ravi during the farmer protest, a girl from Bangalore, an Indian, because they said she's a foreign conspirator with a toolkit. And a 94-year-old man, George Soros, who, by the way, even his own country, Hungary, hates because they want to abuse him. And Viktor Orban hates him because they said he wants refugees to come into Hungary and destabilize Hungary simply because he threatens the government of Viktor Orban. So the reality is that the BJP is worried that today all liberal voices, even though the right wing is winning political elections, are fighting to expose corruption, insidiousness, anti-democratic and anti-constitutional behavior. And Mr. Modi is worried. Can you imagine risking a diplomatic relation with America to protect
Let's
Gautam
spend some
Adani?
time
And
on that,
this is
Siddharth.
incredible.
You've seen the reaction from the US Embassy. The US government works with independent organizations on programming that supports professional development and capacity building for journalists. This programming does not influence the editorial decisions or directions of these organizations. The US has been a champion of free media. A free and independent press is essential in any democracy, enabling informed, constructive debate. They're basically saying they're very disappointed. This is from one of our key allies. They're extremely disappointed with the way the Indian government is reacting.
Rahul, is that question for me?
Yes, Siddharth, it is.
Yes, Rahul, first of all, I'm amazed that Sanjay Jha on your show can sit and defend George Soros. Who's George Soros? Is he not a corporate? Is he not a businessman? वो संत फकीर हैं क्या कोई? He can sit here and defend. But if Bharatiya Janata Party will sit and say कि go to the court and prove anything and everything that you want to against Adani, but we are not getting into the
you seem to be. Are you a lawyer yourself, Siddharth? Siddharth, are you a lawyer? Siddharth, are you a lawyer? Siddharth, are you a lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
I am. Yes, I am.
And because you're a lawyer, what's the right way of doing an investigation to determine whether something has happened or not? It's not to go to the courts. It's the job of the investigative agencies to probe the charges and to come to a conclusion, file a charge sheet if that's the case, and then that is heard by a trial court, a high court, and then the Supreme Court. That's how investigations happen. This business of subverting the whole process by saying go to the court first.
Very rightly so, Rahul. Very rightly so. What is the reason they are not going? They went on Rafale, they went on Hindenburg, they went on Pegasus, they went every time. If you had to draw a comparison between Bofors deal, you should have drawn it with Rafale. They went on Rafale. What happened in the court? What happened in the court? They had to come back. Every time Rahul Gandhi goes, वो मुक्की खा के वापस आ जाते हैं. Is this country only waiting for Rahul Gandhi's fantasies to come up? कि उस पर जाकर क्या बैठा जाएगा? He is not able to convince his opposition, the allies of the opposition. समाजवादी पार्टी तो उनकी बात मान नहीं रही. भारतीय जनता पार्टी उनकी बात मान ले. उनकी बात बंगाल में टीएमसी तो मान नहीं रहा, तमिलनाडु में कोई उनकी बात मान नहीं रहा, भारतीय जनता पार्टी उनकी बात
Hamid Hussain, the Congress does have a problem. Problem is that you went on Rafale, you've been on past charges leveled against the government. Is the Congress guilty of just playing to the gallery because you know even if you went to the courts you're unlikely to find much traction and therefore just make a song and dance a tamasha out of the whole matter?
Rahul, let me make my final point because I have to catch up a flight. Let me tell you very clearly that Supreme Court looked into the matter of, SEBI, looked at the matter of stock action, all that, the Hindenburg report and all, and then gave directions to the SEBI to investigate the matter and submit within 3 months. SEBI chairman is linked to Adani, that is already proved, that is then Ahuja and this Mahindras and all that. So that is already proved. Conflict of interest is there. So they did not submit the report within time. And they have invested in Adani's linked companies also, the SEBI chairman. So therefore, that is one aspect. The second thing, you're talking about Rafale. Let me tell you very clearly. Rafale, what did the Supreme Court deal? There are always procedural aspect. Let me ask one fundamental question. What is Anil Ambani to do with Rafale business? Tell me. This is one. The second thing is that when Egypt is purchasing, please, Egypt is purchasing 30 Rafale at the cost of $4.7 billion. We are purchasing 36 Rafales with the cost of $8.4 billion.
Possibly because you're at an airport, I cannot hear you very well. I'll put that question to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay, in the past, the Congress went to the Supreme Court on issues like Rafale. Therefore, it is legitimate to ask, why can't the Congress go to the courts again? If you're so convinced of your case, shouldn't the Congress party really go to the courts?
Rahul, I'm glad you asked me on Rafale because I wanted to comment on it. The Rafale case is open. This is a lie being spread by the BJP, the canard, the Ranjan Gogoi's verdict on the processes that the Supreme Court felt on Rafale were being adhered to is not a forensic investigation on the scam. They are quoting Mediapart. Rahul, you'll be aware of it because you and I did many debates. Mediapart has exposed that corruption deal involving French manufacturers and the Indian government is still out there in the open. The truth is that the Congress party, and I was part of the team that worked on it, said openly in its manifesto in 2019, we win the election, there will be a criminal investigation. The Anil Ambani issue that the gentleman pointed out is correct. This is not investigated. Rafale is open. Because the Congress lost the election, unfortunately, they stopped commenting on Chaukidar Chore.
No, but you aren't answering the question. Let's look at why the Congress party isn't going to the court on the issue of the US court's indictment and asking for an investigation in India.
Well, I'll answer that very quickly. Number one, it is the job of the executive to do it. But let me tell you this. I've worked with 2 financial institutions or companies in India. In America, I know the laws. The problem for the BJP, and I'm giving this to Mr. Sethi because I think he knows finance, he knows it. Once it is entered the process of law and due diligence in America, you cannot escape it no matter what you do. Unless Mr. Trump comes and gives waivers at his own personal political cost, it is not going to be easy. Adani will be in the news for a long time. Because Rahul, I'll tell you, the financial investment in his company will dry up from many. His companies are going to take a hit. He will be constantly a red flag to invest in India, and the BJP's linkage with him will continue. Good luck to them. The Bofors linkage is true. Rajiv Gandhi made a tactical mistake by delaying it, paid a huge political price for the Congress. The BJP is headed down that way, and frankly, I'm happy.
You're saying it suits the Congress's agenda? The question is the issue tracking? See, he raised this in Maharashtra. He tried to make it a big deal. It didn't track. Look at how the BJP won. Bofors became a big issue because it caught the people's imagination and the charges stuck. So far, that hasn't happened because the fact is, as the pardons to Hunter Biden show, the American system is far from the gospel. And therefore, while Rahul Gandhi does this song and dance outside Parliament, this really is about narratives, which is also why the Congress hasn't gone to the courts yet, because they probably realize the moment you go to the courts, the BJP can say, Mamla court mein, let's see what happens in the court. They've already seen in court nothing much happened in the way that they would have liked it to, and therefore they'd much rather do this theatre outside Parliament than try and go to the courts. But the question is, the more you run away from a debate, are you damaging your own case? And that again is something the BJP needs to think about. So both sides have a lot to think about in the way that this is building up. Rahul Gandhi going for the jugular, the BJP trying to throw some muck back, hoping that it sticks. We'll track this story as best as we can without taking any sides, because democracy requires that both sides have an equal voice. For the time being, Siddharth Yadav, Hamid Hussain, Rajat Sethi, Sanjay Jha for joining me on the News Track. Thank you very much.